We've got some
Hey,
fresh
I'm
new young
Luis.
talent
And
doing some
I'm
things that I know
Luis.
you
And you're listening to the Content is Profit podcast.
We spent the last 4 years learning the strategies and techniques from some of the top marketers in the world on how to create content that turns into profit.
If you'd like to learn more about how to turn your content into profit, go to contentisprofit.com. Yeah. Go now.
That's right, guys. Today, the power of words and how you can use them to generate over 7 figures in sales. Who wouldn't like that?
Oh man, that's amazing. I know. I've never been a good writer or anything, so this is amazing for me. But before we get started, please go ahead and subscribe to the Content is Profit podcast. Smash that subscribe button and make sure to follow us on social media at BizBrosGo. We're happy to respond to any DMs that come that way.
That's
relating
right.
to content, marketing, any sales, anything.
Yeah. And if you want to support us, guys, please share this podcast and leave us a review. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Also, so today's guest is not only a great friend, but one of our current coaches. We met him at a live event in which we decided to make our biggest investment to date. I remember the exact moment we were like sitting down, staring at that timer, sweating, feeling the jitters right in our bellies, thinking to ourselves, are we really going to do this? Look at one of those coaches. He looks so young. Freaking out is an understatement. But wow, has he delivered.
That's right, and so the adventure began. We soon discovered that regardless of his young appearance, he was a seasoned marketer with the gift of turning simple stories into powerful and profitable sales letters. His magic fingers have generated over 7 figures in sales.
Wait, check this out. He even sold an $85,000 package in his underwear when he was only 23. And hold on, he had his work feature in the Super Bowl.
That is incredible, guys. Please welcome our incredible coach, seasoned marketer, and the captain underpants of copywriting, Mr. Austin Dixon!
Yeah!
That is arguably the coolest intro I've ever been a part of.
Yes! Awesome, Austin. Welcome to the show, man, and thank you for that, too. I mean,
we're so excited. We are so excited to have you here, man. Like we see your your coaching every single week, but I think the hype is always real. You know, every time we're gonna hear you speak, it's like, yeah, let's go, Austin.
I know.
I appreciate that. Yeah, means a lot. It's been fun getting to know you guys. So.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Just so you know, like the pressure was on when we were trying to write this intro. We're like, oh my God, we're introducing probably like one of the best copywriters out there now. What do we do? So just be completely honest. What do you think about not just the whole experience, but the copy, like the words of that intro?
It was great. It was great. You guys are, you guys are picking it up.
Let's go.
There you go. Good. We've been learning.
That's right from the best right here.
Awesome, Austin. Well, you know, obviously we're incredibly excited and honored to have you on the show. So just share a little bit with the audience, right? Like, who's Austin Dixon? You know, how do you start this whole journey into the marketing world and what you do now? Yeah,
for sure. My journey started, I feel like it's a lot of the internet marketers in the space. It's very similar to the stories that you hear. You know, I was in a job that I hated, and I'm going to give you the quick and dirty version, right? So I was in a 9-to-5 I hated after college, was getting paid peanuts and kind of living in a cardboard box with 3 of my fraternity brothers in LA. Got to a point one day where I was just kind of sick and tired of not making any money, and I dove down the rabbit hole of how do you make money online. Started, you know, seeing a bunch of kids my age. I remember there was an article that I saw of some 26-year-old that was making like, you know, a couple $100,000 a month. And I was like, what? How is that even feasible? So, really just started going down the rabbit hole and figuring out like, how do you start an online business? The first like a real dollar, and it wasn't even a dollar that I made, but the first real money that I made online was from a little like travel blog that I had set up and I was running while I was still in my job. But that like 12 cents that I made from placing a little Google ad on my blog quickly snowballed into like, holy crap, if I can make that 12 cents, I just got to figure out how to do that more than once.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, I mean, I was just really sick and tired of working the 9-to-5, ended up quitting, starting a little digital marketing agency with a buddy from back home. And yeah, it's been 4 years of just kind of, putting my nose to the grind and studying marketing and how do you, effectively go from nothing and a complete stranger to someone on the internet to actually being able to get them to pull out their credit card and buy from you. And yeah, I really obsess over everything, as you guys have seen. So
yeah, no, I love the story. I actually didn't know that you lived in LA. I don't think I knew that part of your story. And I didn't know the 12 cents part of the story too, right? Which I think is such an iconic moment for every entrepreneur when they make their first sale, right? It's like,
absolutely.
Whoa, like what did just happen, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that it was, I mean, it's 12 cents, right? Like, let's be real. Like, why can't we buy with 12 cents? But,
yeah, it's not going to change my life.
Yeah, but the amount of belief that it created, right? And like you said, it's snowballed to where you are right now. That's impressive. So again, the people that are listening to this, don't get discouraged if you make a $1 sale or a 12-cent sale, because like that should be motivation and build your belief that you can actually do it.
Yeah, I love it. So you mentioned there that it has been like a continuous like learning process. Like, hey, nose to the ground, let's do the grind, let's learn, let's do our stuff. Like, when kind of like in that journey, as soon as you started, does this happen like where your mind's like, shoot, I need to like stay on top of this. I need to like up my level in any way possible. And then how do you find the people that you are learning from, basically?
For sure. Yeah. So I look back and like I said, I've been an online entrepreneur for about 4 years now. I quit my job back in May of 2016. At the time, like I said, I knew how to build like WordPress websites. So that's what I was doing when I left my job.
Yeah.
And then I partnered up with a buddy of mine that knew how to do SEO. So we were officially a digital marketing agency.
Yeah.
And the first year of business absolutely sucked. It was eating dirt. I was living back with my dad. We were working out of his unfinished basement and just trying to figure things out at the end of the day. During that time as well, I had actually started literally right before I left LA. I'd actually started another like kind of side hustle business with a good college buddy, literally one of my best friends in the world. And what we were doing is Snapchat geofilter marketing. So Snapchat had literally just released geofilters on their app.
Yeah.
And they were being used for like birthday parties and weddings and whatnot. And the classic marketer in me was like, wait a second, like, why don't we just go sell these geofilters? Like, they're cool for weddings and birthdays, and let's see if we can make a little cash doing that. But like, it's also a cool marketing tool. Why don't we go see if we can sell this to other brands?
Yeah, that's cool.
So the first year of being an internet marketer was really just like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Let me figure it out. Trial by error. Let me, learn. Let me follow people. I wasn't investing in info product courses. So it was like, how much free information can I grab from these Facebook groups and from these forums and whatnot?
Yeah.
So it was really up and down, but it was funny because even that year, like within the first year, that's when I sold that $85,000 package that you guys mentioned in the intro.
Yeah.
And that to me, going from making your first 12 cents to within the first year, selling an $85,000 package to like a legit established company.
Yeah.
Massive amounts of belief patterns got broken down with that.
So that's a massive jump, right? Like, what are those elements that allowed you to make that jump? Because obviously from 12, like, was this something that happened within a year? Was this something that happened over a period of time?
I mean, $85,000, that's way more than a lot of people even make in a year as their salary.
That's more than what we made in our first 3 years as a company, right?
What's funny about it, and I didn't expect to talk about this, but is literally perfect for your guys' show because content is profit. Admittedly, I'm not a huge football guy. I'm a basketball player. It would have been the 2017 Super Bowl. I was sitting at my dad's house watching it with him. And because I'm not a big football guy, like, of course I'm going to watch the big game, but I was working during it. And what I was doing is I was actually kind of dissecting all of the big Super Bowl commercials. You guys know me. I'm a complete marketing and advertising nerd.
I love it.
So I'm sitting there and dissecting all of the commercials because, all of these other advertisers and marketers, like, they'll post blog posts about which commercials won, which commercials didn't. So I remember I had like a little personal branding website, and I posted a blog post about what brand that I thought had the best commercial at the Super Bowl. And that brand that year was Avocados from Mexico. So sure enough, I post this blog, and like my blogs probably got like 3 readers every time I posted. Somehow, I think I had Twitter at the time. I definitely have never really been on Twitter, but I think I had Twitter at the time. And I remember tweeting it out and tagging Avocados from Mexico. And the following week, I got an email from their marketing director that basically said, hey, we read your blog. It's really spot on, and you dissected our commercial perfectly and like the goal of the commercial, whereas a lot of the big publications that posted about us didn't understand what we were trying to do.
Wow.
We see that you run this Snapchat geo filter marketing thing. We want to get into Snapchat, but we don't know how to do it. Do you want to jump on the phone call and chat about how you guys could potentially help us?
Wow.
Game changer. A blog that I was publishing to that typically got like 3 readers on each blog post somehow ended up in the hands of the marketing director of this huge corporation. And then fast forward a few weeks after that, me and my partner, we put together a little pitch deck. I pitched them. I had to wake up at like 5:30 because of the time zone, and I'm sitting there on like a little video call in my underwear. Pitched them this $85,000 kind of like annual marketing plan for Snapchat geofilters, and sure enough, we ended up closing the deal. So it's funny how one little blog post that I published.
I love it.
I have goosebumps right now.
Yeah, this is so exciting because, I mean, one of people's complaints are like, oh, but I don't have viewers, you know, like every single time it's like nobody's watching. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, you never know where this can go, right? And I think we actually referred this in the previous episode. There's a book by, I think his name is Alex Barker, and the book is called Barking Up the Wrong Tree. And he explains that extroverts get luckier than introverts. And the only reason is because they put themselves out there more, therefore they encounter more opportunities. So it's the same thing with content, what you did, right? Like, even if you had 3 readers, you kept posting and posting, and eventually you were putting yourself in front of these opportunities and eventually got this massive win.
I love this because we actually tested this out. You know, when we were like at Offer Lab, we talked about doing an offer, making an offer, right? As many offers as you can, you know, is directly correlated to this. And obviously those offers in our world are through content. So I remember doing that experiment. We're like, hey, we're looking for 5 people, right? And we weren't expecting anything. I think out of those 5 people, we got like 20 phone calls. And every one of them was people that we never thought like they were watching the show or looking at the content. And we call these guys silent watchers. And our first, which is super funny, the reason I have goosebumps right now with your story is because we had something very similar with a video that we posted that it was 11 at night. We didn't want to do it. We were like, oh my God, let's stay committed. And we're like, okay, let's do this thing. And it was like a dissection of a post actually that we did for one of our clients. And that originated this series of events that landed our biggest client ever, that it was an $85,000 a year contract. It's insane. Yeah, so that's why I'm like, oh my God, like, okay.
Yeah, it is. You know, that is super cool. I want to go back a little bit, right? Because you've mentioned that you dived in, that you've been, right, learning a lot. And, you know, I actually heard this recently, and kind of like entrepreneurs hide behind the learning sometimes, right? Like, there's so much out there, so many courses, so many things to learn. And we're constantly looking, right, what is called the shiny object syndrome. We're constantly looking for the next big thing. What can I learn? Yep. This is the next thing that is going to take me to the $1 million, whatever, right? But you also mentioned that you were dissecting this. You were working / learning, dissecting and all that. So I want to find there, right, like, what is the right balance of learning for people that are watching this? Because they need to implement and take action, right? And something that relates is like that dissecting that you were doing, as it is learning, but at the same time is taking action. So what pointers can you give there to people? Yeah,
I mean, what I've said so far makes it seem like things clicked for me right away. And that is far from the truth, because it took me about 3 years even if I felt like I was a good marketer because I was studying marketing and so on and so forth, it took me 3 years to finally understand how to run a healthy internet business. And the reason being, I really do, full circle here, comes back to content. At the end of the day, you know, content it's all about distribution. And like you said, the number of offers that you make typically correlate to the amount of money that you're making as well, right? The amount of sales you're closing. And looking back at the first 3 years, I was like the majority of online business owners out there. And I took the Gary Vee approach of I need to be on every social media platform and I need to be publishing everywhere and so on and so forth. And what that did for me is opposite of what I thought it was going to do for me, right? You do that because you think it's going to make you a bunch of sales and so on and so forth. What I was missing is really diving into like a singular channel and understanding how to make my offers through that channel. Because at the end of the day, every, you know, Instagram, Facebook, email marketing, Pinterest, they all have their own quirks, right? Yep. And it's like a little game. How do you game this system to get your content in front of more people? If you're spending time constantly trying to learn different games, that's taken away from the amount of time that you can master making an offer on a specific channel. So for me, once I realized that, things changed because I doubled down for me with emails. Emails to me, I got sick of battling the algorithms and trying to get my content out there and really started to adopt like the 1,000 true fans mentality of, hey, if I can just get 1,000 people on my email list that show up, that open my emails, that read them, that click on them, I can have a really healthy business long term. Yeah. With that said, if that channel for, you know, Joe Schmo down the road is Facebook, like double down on Facebook, right? If it's Instagram, double down on Instagram. But for so long, like I said, for 3 years, I was trying to do it all. And it took away from me understanding how to make offers on one specific channel.
Yeah, I think what you said is super interesting because a lot of the people on the kind of like high-end clients that we work with is like, hey, I want to be everywhere, right? And we came up to this like epiphany the other day. It's like, okay, you talk about audience all the time. It's like, where's your audience? Where's your audience? Where's your audience? Mm-hmm. And we kind of like crafting this equation, right? It's like we discovered through our Facebook Lives and our show. It's like, okay, we show up consistently, right? We show up frequently. So consistency plus frequency helps you grab that traction. But then the key element there is like, where is your audience? Like you said, for you, that meant email, which, you know, it's amazing because you have a unique take on content. Everybody thinks, I got to be producing video. I got to be doing this. And yes, video is very versatile and it's amazing, right? And we use it on lives, but it's amazing that you found that point where you identify where my audience is and where they're going to show up and where am I going to show up with the least amount of friction and then totally dove in. So that's amazing. And I love that point.
Yeah. And you talk about omnipresence, right? Like, because of course we see Gary Vee, all these marketers that they have teams that they pay lots of money to. And obviously they have the ability to be everywhere at all times, right? And we were thinking the other day and we're like, so if I'm only on Facebook, right? And let's say, I know you do long form copy on Facebook sometimes. And I'm like, let's say I'm on Facebook and I see Austin all the time writing his copy. For me, Austin is omnipresent because I'm only on Facebook and I'm seeing him everywhere. Yep. So we got to the conclusion pretty much like, so like omnipresence could be relative, you know, to whoever is speaking, whoever is creating that content. And the key factor right there is the audience, right? Like, where is my audience? Let me be omnipresent for them by doubling down and putting my focus in that platform, like you said.
Yep. Yeah. And I think like omnipresence, I really look at marketing in twofold, right? There's the organic side and there's the paid side. For the vast majority of business owners, it doesn't make sense to try to be omnipresent organically. The goal when it comes to omnipresent marketing is to be everywhere on the internet. And how you do that is with paid traffic, right? Yep. You're scrolling on, you know, an article on Business Insider and you see ads from a supplement that you engage with their video over on Facebook. So if like I didn't understand that as I was a solopreneur and trying to be everywhere, that holy crap, wait a second. That makes sense for those businesses. It doesn't make sense for where I'm at right now.
That's right. I think that last phrase, where I'm at right now, is so key to understand because I think some people think they need to act like 5 years down the road, right? And I know you and Steve say it all the time, like, look at the next problem that you have right in front of you. I think that has been a huge takeaway from you guys for us, because we were always like, okay, what do we need to do for 5 years ahead? It's like, no, like, this is our immediate problem. Let's solve this right now. And I feel like that's kind of like how we're operating now. We're like, okay, what is the immediate problem that we can solve that is going to lead us to the next thing?
Yeah. So when you identified email, right? He's like, this is my channel. These are the benefits. I'm willing to, to put in the work for this. Like, what was your next step right after that? Were you incredibly amazing from the very beginning?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think you hit on it earlier, and it's consistency. I look at organic content these days of, first and foremost, what do I enjoy doing? Do I enjoy having to show up every day on a Facebook Live or sit in a Facebook group and answer questions? No, it's just not my personality. I would much rather train myself each and every morning, or sometimes I'll do it in the evening, of just sitting down and like just writing an email and letting things flow. And what's funny is that once I finally figured out what I like doing and what makes me happy and what I can be consistent with, sure enough, results followed, right? I have people that reply to my emails. I just sent one out the other day, and the amount of people that replied back to me saying, I literally wait for your emails to hit my inbox every day, blows me away. And that's not to toot my own horn, but it's to say that consistency matters. People, one thing I really love that Gary Vee says is like, every business, every brand needs to think of themselves as a broadcast, right? They need to have a regularly scheduled programming, just like what you guys are doing, right? You record these podcast episodes, you let people know the time you recorded them, it's live on Facebook. People know where to show up and when to show up. That is extremely important. And you as the business owner have to tell people those things and then also fulfill on that promise and actually deliver, right? So for me, it was, like I said, I spent 3 years trying to be everywhere. And because of it, I was extremely inconsistent. I was on Instagram for 3 weeks straight and then I'd drop off. And then I was trying to do a Facebook group for 2 months and then I'd drop off because I couldn't be consistent with it.
Yeah, that's such a powerful topic there. And for you guys listening or watching right now, we often see and we hop on calls, like everybody's like, hey, I'm here. Okay, have you been able to publish consistently? Like, what is that minimum viable content that's going to allow you within your resources, either time or money, to stay consistent? Does that mean 3 times a week? Does that mean like once a week, twice a week? Just making sure that you can stick to that and then build up on that. And that's, I think, what we did with like the 45 Live story and then season 1 and season 2 of 45 Live. And it's because everybody knew that we're going to be there every single day. And then we took it to a different level with the show. And we're like, okay, we got to put a schedule. And what that has done is I created pressure, probably like you too. Like, okay, I seen the benefit of like my audience, like reading these emails, and I'm so motivated. I'm like, we have to show up. Like right before we were like about to go on with you, I'm like, dude, Fonzie, I feel like it's game day. Like the jitters, the same thing, the excitement. We come from soccer players. It was like, this is exactly how this should feel, because it should feel enjoyable. So we can do it consistently over time.
Yeah, I think it comes down to putting down the work, like those 10,000 hours. And a lot of people are just not willing to do that. Or maybe they think they're willing to do that, but they are expecting like that immediate gratification. Like, oh, I'm going to send one email, I'm going to have a bunch of sales. It's like, no, right? And what I'm taking out of your story is like, you have put the work like hardcore. And actually, when I first met you, that was one of my first impressions. Because I'm gonna be honest, like when I first met you, at that moment, I still had obviously a bunch of limiting beliefs, and one of those was the comparison game, right? Which is horrible.
Sure.
I mean, you are around my same age, so I was like, whoa, how does this person is with working right next to Steve Larson? Like, that's crazy, right? That's insane. And I wasn't looking at it in a negative way, but it made me think like, okay, what am I doing, right? And then I started listening to you talk and like how you teach and everything. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. Like, you can tell he knows what he's talking about. He has put down the work. And I think that's what I'm trying to get across for the people. Like, don't be like thinking of that immediate gratification. Like, what what am I going to achieve with this next step? It's like, no, the achievement maybe may come on like step 150.
For sure. And I mean, with my emails in particular, it was literally last April. I was living in Denver and I told myself, hey, look, I started to get like, I really believe emails a super under leveraged channel by a lot of business owners. And I said, hey, look, email your list for a year, show up consistently, try to write a daily email for your list for a full year and just see what happens. And so when I began that process, was I the best copywriter? No. Am I the best copywriter a year later? Absolutely not. Yeah. But seeing the progression of my copy as a year later, amazing. Seeing the loyalty of my subscribers a year later, even more amazing, right? Because it goes back to what we talked about. People know that I'll show up. And when it comes time to make a buying decision, that is an extremely powerful feeling for them to have towards you, because they know that if they buy this product from you, that you'll show up there as well.
I love it. Right. So
sorry. Before you ask your question, I just want to say that you remind, for those that know who this person I'm going to mention is, you remind me so much of Ben Settle. You're like, I'm like, dude, Austin is like a younger version of Ben Settle. So
that's great. That's music to my ears. He's one of the email marketers I study. So
I actually I read his emails almost every day. I'm like, wow, like this is so cool how he writes. Yeah. And I love his personality too. But all right, that was a big parenthesis right there.
Awesome. So I want to dive in a little bit more on like the email side, right? Because like you said, it's such an underutilized tool. Email marketers, I feel like they have it down. They're like, they know the value of it, you know, especially if you're around people like Russell Branson, like he preaches like this thing, right? But we worked for a long time with brick and mortars, still do. And every time we tell them, hey, you gotta send an email to your subscribers, it's like a taboo topic. It's like, get away from me. Like, don't even like think about it. And I actually worked for a company that we were only allowed to send one email a month. How do you like build a relationship that way?
That was so painful.
That was very painful. And we fought our way, and I like put in my personal email like through the work and did these offers and stuff like that. So what would you say, or like what would be some piece of advice, right, for people listening right now that maybe own a business and don't feel as comfortable sharing that or sending that email because maybe they're going to lose subscribers or maybe because they're going to lose an audience? Like, what would you say to them?
For sure. I love when people unsubscribe from my list because it means they weren't a good fit for it. So one of the most powerful things that I've learned through being consistent, like with email marketing, is the fact that oftentimes people are looking for an escape from reality. What I mean by that is I recently polled my email subscribers and I said, hey, look, I'm just curious, like, what's your feedback? Why do you follow me? Why do you open my emails? And the feedback I got was surprising on one end, but also not surprising, because a lot of the answers I got is, hey, I joined your list because I wanted to learn marketing and sales and funnels and so on and so internet marketing. But I stay on your list because I feel like I know you. I feel like you're a friend. If I saw you in the street, I could come and just strike up a conversation with you. People read my emails because they're more interested in me than oftentimes what I have to offer. And what's funny is that what I have to offer can benefit them. So once again, when it comes time to sell, the sale is very organic. Hey, you've been following me. I feel like a friend. I have this thing that I created that can help you. Click here to buy it. And sure enough, like that relationship is extremely powerful. So when it comes to people who, worry about, unsubscriptions or worry about turning people off and whatnot because of emailing frequently or, just what to put in your emails, I've always found like stories always work best. And I know that probably seems like not a huge light bulb and whatnot, but at the end of the day, people want to know you. Even if you're a big, this is why us internet marketers can beat out big box brands, because we understand humans buy from humans. They're not trying to buy from some stale brand out there that's just slinging another product. They want someone they can connect with and someone that they feel like they're, friends with, or that if they saw them out in public, they would be able to come up and say hi to them. Yeah. And for me, the best area I've been able to create that relationship with my followers has been through email, for sure.
So, I mean, there's a phrase that Steve says pretty often that is, they come for your product, but they stay because of you, right? And that is exactly what I'm listening to right now. But a lot of people, they might be debating on like, oh, but I'm not funny enough, or I don't, right? Like they have these beliefs that they are maybe not worthy of other people's attention, right? Yep. And I mean, I don't know how many emails it took you to find your personality, like your style. I know Steve said it took him like, I don't know if it was like 50 or 100 episodes to like find his voice. So what would you say to these people that are doubting themselves? They don't know exactly maybe like who they are.
Yep. The biggest thing that I told myself when I first started emailing my list was, hey, you've committed to writing emails for a year. Figure out how to do it so that it doesn't suck. What I mean by that is that for a while, it was probably for like 3 months. Every time I sat down to write an email to my list, I trained myself not to hit backspace. And the reason being is that I found myself early on always second guessing what I was writing. Ooh, should I be telling this story? Ooh, does that sound weird? And what those objections were objections to, they were ego-driven objections, right? Yeah. It wasn't, oh, is this the right content to put out? It was, oh, I'm afraid of looking like an idiot, or I'm afraid of my audience knowing this about me. And what's funny is once I started to hit or stopped hitting backspace and I started just letting the words kind of flow and emails get sent, guess what happened? Those things that I thought were going to turn people off were the exact things that turned people on and kept them.
Yeah.
So at the end, you know what, the big lesson to take from that is like, your mind as a marketer and entrepreneur will always play tricks on you. And what you think matters most often matters least to your subscribers.
Yeah.
If you feel like you're a boring person, or you feel like, you know, you're not funny, you have something every single day that someone can relate to. And even if it's just one person on your list, right?
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I will take stories from my everyday. If I, you know, go out to eat and the waiter does a terrible job upselling me, I'll write to my list about it and be like, hey, look, I was waiting to be sold by my waiter and here's how they messed up. You can apply this to your business.
Yeah.
So just understanding that, like, at the end of the day, there's only so many lessons I can teach with marketing and sales, right? There's frameworks that we follow to build internet businesses.
Yeah.
But I can always put a new spin on it by telling a different story from something that happened to me today or something that happened to me when I was a little kid. And that's what people care about.
Yeah. I love that, especially because like people get so caught up on the, I don't know what I'm going to say, right? And the fact that you said like you can teach the same lesson through different stories, that actually right there is super, super valuable. And something that I've noticed that has happened to us while we've been doing the 45 Live and especially this podcast is that creating content is kind of therapeutic, right? And
big time.
Hopefully I didn't butcher that word, but
no, you nailed it.
Thank you. Yes. But it, like I found, I don't know, like it's blown my mind how speaking the words and putting my thoughts out there, how it helps me to think later and kind of like see what I did wrong. How can I improve? If what I'm saying like is the right thing or whatnot. And I think that is the best way to grow. Like I've been amazed. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about, not hitting the backspace, right? Like just put it out there, just do it, send it, and you're going to be getting feedback.
The number of times I send an email out and I'm like, shit, I should have said this in this way. But it's like, at least I got it out in an efficient manner and now I can move on to the next thing.
Yeah, we talk often about that minimum viable content. For us was removing all kinds of friction. For you was like, I'm removing the friction of not hitting the backspace or rereading it before I send it. For us was like, I don't want to edit. Fonzie was a perfectionist at some point. I think like not anymore ish.
I mean, I have it inside. I'm like, God, like
totally get it.
I want to fix it, and then I'm like, no.
And that's the one reason why we decided to go live, because we didn't have all that friction of editing or the scripting or whatnot. We're like, hey, as soon as you hit that red button, that's it. You go in and you throw out your message, and we're gonna mess up, and that's fine. It's showtime. I mean, the biggest example here was, I think it was Marley Jacks. Marley was on the show, like, oh my God, funnel hacking live speaker on the show. And the technology fluked on us. And it was like, it was terrible. It was, oh my God, but you know, we made it such an experience. And it's like, you know what? It is what it is. It's live. She had a good time. We had a good time. And it's out there and the video's out there. Whatever. Like, we're learning. It doesn't matter. Like,
I honestly think perfection happens because people are worried what others are going to think if they don't think it's perfect, right? Because I know for a fact that was me, that I'm like, oh, I want it to look nice, so they're going to think that I'm an awesome marketer. It's like, no, like, that's not it. Like, again, and we say this all the time, quality of the message over quality of the production all the time. Nail your message first, and like, people are going to relate to you. Be vulnerable, right? That vulnerability.
Piggybacking off that, I really think like a big reason I forced myself to not hit backspace is because I'm naturally a perfectionist, and it forced me to get uncomfortable understanding that no one cares if I make a typo or I put an extra period or I miss a comma. What they care about is the value that I can provide to them and how I can entertain them. So it was literally me forcing myself to like not be a perfectionist.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if you get like a grammar police in your emails, you'll probably be like, goodbye.
So question 2, because obviously part of the audience is, okay, they might not be super familiar with the digital marketing world, is, you know, where there might be diving first steps into content creation. Maybe they don't want to be that attractive character. They don't want to be the face of either the business or that company in front of, like, on their content, but they still have to publish because they know they have to, and it brings so much benefit. What would you recommend somebody like that doesn't want to be that attractive character? What are some things that they can do to still play this content game?
Yeah, great question. I think the hidden benefit of publishing and content creation is self-discovery. Real talk. I mean, I was a spoiled kid growing up, middle-class family. My parents always made sure that me and my siblings, you know, had everything we ever wanted. Had a great friend group, went to a great school, went to a great college, like everything. I have no complaints about, you know, my upbringing and whatnot. And what's funny is when I got into entrepreneurship, because of that, I was broken, man. I didn't know how to keep money. I didn't know how to sell, because everything had always been kind of handed to me and whatnot. And it wasn't until I started publishing that I really started to understand who I was as a person. Why do I think in the way I do? Why do I act in the way I do? Sometimes I'll write, like literally I wrote an email to my list last night about like the, you know, little devil that lives inside of our head, and understanding that like there's always going to be a voice telling you to not do the thing, or go procrastinate, or go do this and fill your time up with entertainment when you need to sit down and write emails, or you need to sit down and publish. And so through publishing consistently, you learn to tame that voice, right? You cannot put a price on that, because at the end of the day, business is business, right? We all build businesses to help influence people, to, you know, try to reach financial freedom, whatever that looks like to you. There's all these kind of external things that we're looking for as entrepreneurs. Nothing puts a price on understanding who you are as a human and how you relate to other humans as well. And nothing gets you there quicker than publishing consistently, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like that, since we started publishing, it has been
we're pulling the emotional strings now, but it's true.
No, but
like,
it's true. Like Fonzie was saying earlier, it does feel like therapy, because like every time we get out here, we are able to not only be ourselves, but also like grab those thoughts that might be foggy in our head, just put it in words and get it out. And we receive immediate feedback, either from the audience, from the people that we interview, having these amazing conversations. From yourself. Even from ourselves, from Fonzie here. I mean, how many times he's kicking me under the table, you know? But at the same time, it's a growth element that then you can apply that to other parts of life. So like you said, that hidden benefit, we can call it collateral revenue if we like, right? It's like, it's gonna add so much to the rest of your life. So not just your business, but you. So I love that. So
I've honestly, I feel like lately I've been digging a little bit deeper in the mindset side of things, and how you said the self-discovery that comes with publishing is incredible. And I compare to myself what I was 3 years ago, that I was scared of creating a video, even though I knew I had to create content. I mean, I remember the exact moment. I was sitting in my room. I finally quit my other job. I was like, I'm going to do this full time. My brother, my other like 5 roommates, they left the house. I was alone in the computer looking at Louis' house presentation. And he was talking about publishing. And I was like, I know I have to do it. Like, I'm going to do it. In my mind, I was just sitting there in the computer like, I'm going to do it. Yes, eventually. Like, immediately in that same moment, I just like beat myself up. And then it's like, okay, well, then I need the camera, then I need this. And I stopped right there in the tracks, and it took me 3 years to get to the point where I was like, you know what, like, I don't care anymore, like, what people think. Like, if my friends are really my friends, they're gonna support me, they're not gonna judge me.
For sure. Publish it, yeah. It really forces you to face your imperfections. And the beautiful part about it, I mean, I think back to when I first started doing videos and how much I hated listening to myself. Oh, you're so awkward, your voice sounds funny, blah, 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 blah. All these, you know, self-talk things that who likes the sound of their own voice on video? Name me someone and like I'll shake their hand, right? The beautiful part about that is like once I got over that and learned to love myself on video, not only did publishing become easier, but also like there's that self-love aspect. I got over my own insecurities and learned to really embrace who I am as an individual and as a man and as a marketer, as a son, as a friend. And like, there's nothing in the world that's better than the liberation that comes from that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, that's awesome. Actually, talking about videos, we noticed that your YouTube channel, right? Like you were actually like being pretty consistent in there until about a year, which you telling us the story of when you started focusing on all that stuff. Like now it makes total sense.
Yeah, for sure. And it's you know, YouTube's one of those channels where, it's just like, I think YouTube's an amazing channel. Where I'm at right now and just everything that's going on, it hasn't been a priority, but it's the same thing of these days. I will, until the day I die, email my list. It is something that I love doing. I can be extremely consistent with it. And I've gotten over the mental speed bumps that come from publishing on that channel.
Yeah.
So
I love that's an amazing example on somebody that was present in different channels, and then you were able to identify what am I good at, what do I enjoy doing, right? What is the audience that's providing me the most benefit versus the time that I'm investing in this, and you identify that channel as an email instead of trying to keep up and do everything, because at the end of the day, like if you're not seeing the results, you're gonna get burnt out, right? So it's okay to scale back and then go from there following.
Yeah. And publishing should never feel like a chore. Obviously, it's an extremely important part of, you know, marketing online in 2020 and beyond. But it should never, ever feel like a chore. And if it is, that's a great indication of you're either on the wrong channel or like you have some things up here that you need to get over.
Yeah. So, I mean, coming from, you know, like, again, watching all these people sell all these other courses, and you hear it pretty often sometimes like, oh, email is dead or whatever. And you're like, no, it's not. But like how, you know, because like for us, it has been an issue. Well, it was more in the past an issue where we look up to way too many people and we try to learn from way too many people, right? Like, were you ever conflicted with that, or did you discover that you're like, okay, I need to focus on one person and learn from that person and then implement?
Yeah, for sure. I think, I mean, we as entrepreneurs definitely evolve, right? So the people that I follow these days are different from who I used to follow and so on and so forth. For sure. I mean, I remember times where I was trying to follow, especially the first year or two, trying to follow anyone and everyone that gave me a glimmer of hope that I could make online business work for me, right?
Yeah.
These days, I'm very selective about what I'm putting in my ears, and that extends far beyond just business, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like I look at, once again, what I enjoy doing in business. I look at the skill set that I want to acquire. And I also look at, you know, the people I follow, I look at their life outside of business as well, right? So yeah, I mean, these days the list is definitely slimmer than it used to be. And that's very intentional, because I'm very clear on, like we talked about earlier, what's that next step that I need to take, and not follow someone that's teaching me 18 steps ahead when I don't need it.
Yeah. One of the things that we've observed too, while, you know, learning from you, has been your insatiable thirst for data, right? You go in and you're like, you dissect things, you have these swipe files and stuff like that. And sometimes we talk with people about, with content, like they tell us, like, hey, it's not working. I'm like, why? Well, I don't know, nobody's watching. But at the end of the day, all these tools give you a ton of information that you can use to leverage it to improve and get better, right? So I would like to hear from you, like what make you start like looking at this data, and how do you use it now to improve on your content?
Yeah, great question. I think it really comes down to my mentality about business. I believe that great businesses are crowd created. What I mean by that is that all of the information you need to build your business is typically out in the marketplace. The people who succeed are the ones that go mine that data and then use it to inform the decisions they make. So the reason I really think this way is because, once again, it goes back to I was broke for 3 years. And even though I thought I was a good marketer and understood a lot of this, why is my bank account still empty, right?
Yeah.
And I realized that I was guessing and overestimating, underestimating what decisions I was making in my business. Whereas when you flip it around and you say, hey, look, I have this group of people that all have this problem. Let me go figure out how they're talking about it. Let me go figure out how they've tried to solve it in the past and why they failed. And then figure out a new solution that is different from what they've tried, and test it out, put it in front of them and see what they think. At the end of the day, I think I really understand that with all marketing, two things happens. Either it works and that's the marketing that we scale with paid advertising, or guess what happens? It doesn't work. And all we do is we go read the data of why it didn't work. We make a tweak. Sometimes the data tells us, hey, cut this off completely, right?
Yeah.
This isn't a good idea. Don't pursue it any further. Sometimes it tells us, hey, look, you just need a little tweak to your offer, right? I'm going through this exact thing right now. One of the side businesses that I do is a supplement business.
Okay.
And so I literally just wrote a sales letter this past week. I started driving some traffic to it, and it wasn't converting. So what do? Well, I install a little script that shows me how people are going through my sales page, and I see where they're getting hung up, right? If they're getting to my offer, they're reading the whole sales page. They're spending 30 minutes on my sales letter, and then they get to the offer and they're not buying. What does that tell me? It tells me the offer's wrong, right?
Yeah.
So sure enough, last night I went and tweaked the offer, and within minutes, sale comes through.
Yes.
That's
Data,
awesome.
data. And it's not sexy. It's not fun. Like, I'll spend hours sitting in Facebook groups or on Reddit, looking at threads and reading comments and putting those into a document. That's not that fun, right? I would much rather be out playing basketball or like wake surfing on the lake.
Yeah.
But what's fun is being able to serve people and get paid because of that service. So
yeah. I was about to ask you, like, you know, you define it as not fun, but like what drives you, right? Like what's that ultimate driver? And you know, it comes back to like enjoying that process and the benefit and being able to serve your audience. But specifically, what drives Austin Dixon?
Oh man, that's a big question. I think I'm definitely still discovering a side of that that I don't have the answer to. But what really drives me right now is understanding that the internet is the most powerful resource on the planet. I've seen it time and time again change people's lives for the better or for the worse. And my goal is to not only for myself and my family, but also for other people out there, whether it be one person or 1 million people, figure out how my skill set can help positively impact them. I know that's the super cliche entrepreneur reason and whatnot, but it's true. Like we have a tool in front of us that allows us to get in front of millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people with a click of a button. And if I'm not working every day to figure out what problems I can solve and get in front of those people, then I'm not doing my job as an entrepreneur. So I think the thirst and why I really obsess over, I got to be honest, I don't know many other people other than like some of my close friends and colleagues in the marketing space that study as much marketing as I do. And the reason being is understanding like marketing isn't this evil manipulative thing, right? It's this beautiful craft that allows us to get great solutions in the hands of people that really need it. And the more I refine those skill set and continue to be a student of the game, the better I can do that. So I think that's what keeps me moving each day for sure.
Yeah, I love that because a lot of people, I mean, and I think I was at that point where when we started, I was thinking, oh, but sales is a little sketchy, right? Like I need to trick people, and like marketing, I'm just trying to get people to like buy something they might not need. And definitely throughout this journey, that has been one of the biggest beliefs, probably, that has been crushed, thrown away, you know? And is that the fact that we are doing this to help others. So, I mean, and looking back, I think, okay, the moments where we close deals, of course, that's exciting. Like, yes, that's amazing. But when people tell you, like, hey, thank you so much. Like, because of you, I was able to do X, Y, and Z. That feels way better. That fills you up. It's like, oh man, this is so exciting.
The money's the money's a piece of paper, right? It's just this little piece of paper that we place a value on.
Yeah.
But the real value comes from that feedback we get from our customers and clients, the stories that we get of how our product took them from this, you know, really, really depressed state that they were in to ultimately getting what they wanted. And like, that's at the end of the day what matters, right?
Yeah, I love it. All right, Austin. So we're almost at the end of the episode, and we always like to leave the audience with some action points, right? It can be as many as you want, but you know, what would be like maybe one or two like pieces of advice that they can take action today, like super specific to either content creation, mindset, whatever. Like, what are the things that has helped you in your journey, right? That they can probably implement right now.
For sure. I would say the biggest one, if you're trying to grow your business, is find that one channel that, like you guys talk about, you can create minimum viable content on and be consistent with. I really challenge you to set yourself a goal of picking one channel and doing it for a year straight. And there's going to be times where you mess up, right? There were times throughout the year where I wanted to get an email out and I didn't. Don't beat yourself up about it, but make sure that like you understand you have control over how you let those mistakes dictate the next day. And you could either beat yourself up about it and then give up, or you could keep pushing through. So find one channel, double down on it, and produce content on it, you know, consistently every day if possible.
Yeah.
And then I would say one of my, you know, one of the guys I learned from most, I consider him a mentor. I've gotten to hang out with him. I consider him a friend as well, is Ian Stanley. And one thing that Ian has taught me is that, like, because mindset is such a big part of this game and getting over our own ego, I really believe in the power of meditation these days. And one thing that Ian showed me is the fact that, like, just like working out, right? We always have time for what we prioritize. And even if it's taking 2 minutes out of your day to like calm your mind and sit in silence and figure out, you know, just kind of reprioritize and realign, recenter throughout your day, that is an extremely powerful muscle that you need to consistently flex and work out and whatnot. So find one channel, be consistent with it. And then even if it's, you know, for 2 minutes a day, find some time that you can spend with yourself.
Dude, I love that.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was much needed. I think we,
Sure.
I personally like see it in our lives. Like we are on a going mindset, right? Like go. What is the next thing that we can do? And honestly, I just read this book called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. Okay. And it pretty much talk about that. It's slowing down, right? And I tried it like these last 2 weeks, honestly. Like I'm like, okay, Sundays I'm gonna like chill, not like avoid technology, read, you know, just like let my soul catch up to my body. And on Mondays I feel it, like literally I feel the It's Monday Baby shirt 120%. I'm like,
Let's go.
Yeah, it feels great.
I'm a big believer that slowing down allows you to speed up. It wasn't the case for that first 3 years. I mean, I was working like a dog, 14, 16, 18-hour days. And sure enough, I was running in circles. And once I understood, like, wait a second, just take a step back, slow down, and re-strategize and reprioritize where you're placing your energy, your effort, your, you know, capital at the end of the day. It's funny how much more productive I became and how much more efficient, you know, making money became at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
I love it. Well, with that, Austin, thank you so much. What a way to end the episode. We really, truly appreciate you being here with us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
How can the audience connect with you? How can they get in that awesome email list that you have?
Yeah, for sure.
Where can they find you?
Yeah, best place to connect with me is definitely on my email list. It's where I reply to people most as well. So if you go to austinjdixon.com/list, Dixon is Dixon. So austinjdixon.com/list. You'll be able to sign up right there. And yeah, I send out, typically I send out 5, 6, sometimes 7 emails a week. And I would love to have you on there.
Awesome.
Yeah, guys, you know what to do. Go, overload that page and his list with email addresses. You got it.
And with that being said, again, Austin, thank you so much. And to you guys in Continence Profit, thank you so much. Please don't forget to subscribe, smash that subscribe button, and follow us on social media at BizRosGo. Make sure to send us a quick message, a quick hello, and we'll be happy to chat.
Yeah.
Thank you guys, and we'll see you on the next one.